Hello everyone, this time for our end of year list, we're going big. These are the top 30 best roguelike or roguelite games of the year 2025. Whether it's action, deck builders, or even strategy, this list has some of the absolute best the genre has to offer. Well, let's get into the list. Sworn is an Arthurian action roguelite from Windwalk Games. At first glance, the gameplay loop, the room-based structure, and the powers might feel familiar if you have played Hades, but don't write it off too quickly. Sworn actually brings a lot to the table. First of all, it's just fun to play. Second, it's available right now on PS5, Xbox Series, and Game Pass, which are platforms where Hades 2 is not available yet. And third, the setting is genuinely cool. Instead of Greek gods, you are dealing with Merlin, Fey gods, and the Knights of the Round Table. But the biggest difference is co-op. Sworn supports 4-player co-op, which completely changes how the game feels. The Rogue Prince of Persia is a 2D side-scrolling action roguelite made by Evil Empire, the same studio behind Dead Cells, so if some things feel familiar, that's the reason why. The game absolutely nails the classic Prince of Persia feel, especially when it comes to platforming. The movement is fast and fluid, and once you get into the rhythm, every run feels energetic and satisfying. That said, for me, the Rogue Prince of Persia doesn't quite hit the same level as The Lost Crown, another Prince of Persia game that released last year. Even so, it's still a strong spin-off that keeps the spirit of the series alive.
Keeper, standing by.
StarVaders is a roguelite deck builder that blends tactical grid combat, fast-paced alien battles, and smart deck building into one really fun experience. It feels like Slay the Spire mixed with Into the Breach, but set in space with aliens invading Earth. You control a mech positioned at the bottom of a narrow grid while enemy ships drop in from above. Each turn, you play cards to move, attack, and set up satisfying combos. You can't just spam cards though. Your mech can overheat, so picking the right actions at the right time is a big part of the strategy. On top of that, the game looks great. The chunky, comic-style art, bold colors, and punchy sound effects make it feel like you're playing a sci-fi cartoon.
Special abilities. Well, you'll have to discover those for yourself. You need to defeat all alien invaders before they reach your side of the grid.
Abyssus is a really solid roguelite FPS. Like most games in the genre, it doesn't focus much on story, but there's some cool lore hidden throughout the levels. You can find journals scattered around, and if you take the time to explore, they add some nice world building. When it comes to gameplay, the gunplay feels great. It's fast, fluid, and heavily focused on movement and dodging. Enemies hit hard, so staying mobile is key. Once you learn enemy patterns and figure out their weak spots, the game really starts to shine. Landing a critical hit and watching a burst of yellow damage numbers fill the screen is incredibly satisfying.
Yes, the timeless tactic of building.
The King is Watching is a smart mix of real-time strategy and roguelike. The main goal is simple. Defend your kingdom against endless waves of enemies. You will build structures to gather resources, train troops, and upgrade your defenses. As you survive each wave, you earn rewards that make your army and your kingdom stronger, all leading up to a final boss fight. What really makes the game interesting is its core mechanic. Not every building works all the time. The game uses something called a gaze grid. Only buildings inside that grid are active, so you have to constantly move it around your kingdom to collect resources and train soldiers. It sounds small, but it completely changes how you play the game.
He's right. Remember the last run? I built so many Tesla towers, the enemies never even saw my castle gates.
Yes,
Gatekeeper is a roguelite that almost nobody talks about, but it honestly deserves a lot more attention. It's a top-down sci-fi roguelite shooter that blends the fast chaos of Risk of Rain 2 with a Diablo-style camera and the constant pressure of a bullet hell. You play as a gatekeeper, tasked with protecting an ancient cosmic relic while fighting through waves of enemies across different planets. The story itself is simple, and that's totally fine because the real focus here is the gameplay. The moment you jump into a mission, things ramp up fast. Enemies swarm in from all directions, the screen fills with shots and explosions, and you're constantly dashing, shooting, and doing everything you can just to stay alive. Key is Coming is a roguelite auto-battler, and honestly, it's a fantastic game. Some players complain about RNG, but that usually comes from not playing enough to really understand how the systems work. Each run is quick, but there's a surprising amount of depth behind it. Every map gives you tools to manage your luck and build a new strategy each time. It can definitely get tougher when you are going for specific challenges, but that's kind of the point. You will fail more often in those runs, but every attempt teaches you something new. The more you play, the more you realize just how deep and creative the game really is.
At night, in darkness, the dangers grow bold, stirred into frenzy by powers of old. Battlefields, claiming their souls.
If you have played Vampire Survivors, you will feel right at home playing Soulstone Survivors. But Soulstone Survivors adds its own twist to the formula. Instead of playing against a timer, you progress by defeating a set number of enemies, which then triggers a boss fight. Defeat 5 bosses, and your run is complete. It's a nice change of pace. There's less pressure and more freedom to explore, heal up, and plan your build. What really makes Soulstone Survivors stand out, though, is its depth. There are over 350 skills to experiment with and 20 unlockable characters, each with their own strengths, weaknesses, and playstyles. With this much variety, every run feels fresh and the replay value is incredibly high.
The nightmare of the great void. And to end the nightmare of the great void, we've hunted through thousands of them.
They say imitation is the highest form of flattery, and Void War makes that very clear. This is a new roguelite from Tundra, and at its core, it feels like Faster Than Light mixed with a dark, Warhammer-style sci-fi universe. If you've played FTL before, you'll feel right at home. The interface, the ship management, even the menus feel very familiar. If you haven't, Void War is a roguelite where you manage a spaceship and its crew, jumping from system to system until you reach a final, boss-like encounter that ends the run. Overall, Void War offers deep tactical gameplay. It starts off easier than FTL, but higher difficulty levels demand smart planning and good crew combinations. Heroes of Hammerwatch II is a roguelite action RPG that combines dungeon crawling, town building, deep customization, and yes, permadeath. And the gameplay loop is seriously addictive. You will choose one of 7 classes, then jump straight into randomly generated dungeons. Every run rewards you with new upgrades, items, and power-ups that help you survive a little longer each time. As you go deeper, the dungeons get tougher. Along the way, you collect materials to upgrade your town back home. New buildings unlock better gear, more potions, and permanent stat boosts. That cycle of finishing a run, returning home to improve your town, and then jumping right back into danger never gets old. At first glance, Escape from Duckov looks like a goofy meme game. You see ducks with guns, silly jokes, and a full parody vibe, so it's easy to think it's just a quick joke game, but it's not. Under all the feathers and quacking, this is actually a surprisingly solid and addictive single-player extraction shooter roguelite. Yes, a single-player extraction shooter. It sounds strange at first, but once you play it, it makes a lot of sense. It's a top-down shooter where vision and positioning really matter. You can't just rush in, because every corner and every crate could be hiding another duck ready to take you out. Nunholy is a fast and bloody roguelike that mixes bullet hell action, anime-style characters, and pure chaos. You play as one of 3 vampire girls, each with their own skills and playstyle. They don't just look different, they actually fight in very different ways. The game drops you into dark, gothic arenas where enemies never stop coming. Every run is about surviving wave after wave, grabbing upgrades, and pushing your way toward the next boss. What really stands out is the world building. Even though it's an arena roguelike, the game is full of strange and memorable characters. You will meet a quiet nun who helps you heal, a garlic-obsessed merchant selling vampire hunting gear, and other NPCs you can grow closer to by giving them gifts.
The galaxy's most efficient drilling company.
Drillcore mixes roguelite progression, base management, and tower defense chaos in a way that instantly hooked me. The main goal of the game is to drill deep enough to reach the core and destroy it. To do that, you need coal to keep drilling, iron, and other materials to build, and special resources that unlock upgrades between runs. During the day, you will mine resources and build your base. You set up production buildings, research upgrades, and defensive structures. When night falls, everything changes. The local creatures do not like you being there, and they attack in massive waves. Your turrets and guards must survive until morning.
Procedurally generated? Every shaft, every run, completely unique. Because here at Drillcore Inc., no 2 days underground are ever.
Whenever I start feeling burned out on roguelikes, a new one somehow pulls me right back in. Last year, that game was Balatro, and now it's a title called Haste. Think Haste as a super fast 3D platformer where every level is randomly generated. The goal is simple: reach the finish line as fast as you can while a deadly mist chases you from behind. You are constantly running, jumping, and using power-ups, all while trying to land smoothly. Perfect landings charge your hoverboard, and hitting that hoverboard at just the right moment feels incredible. At the end of each run, you also get a boss fight. Just like the levels, these fights can get wild. CloverPit is a roguelike slot machine game that blends the ideas of Luck Be a Landlord, the modifiers of Balatro, and the dark, gritty vibe of Buckshot Roulette. In this game, you're trapped in a creepy little cell with nothing but a broken toilet and a slot machine. A mysterious host gives you a cash goal and a time limit. Pull the lever, win money, and deposit it before the clock runs out. Miss the goal, and you get dropped straight into the pit. Simple, but incredibly addictive. The tone is dark, but also weirdly funny. Your host sounds calm and polite, but clearly doesn't care if you survive. It has that same unsettling feeling as Buckshot Roulette, except this time, you're gambling with your fate instead of pulling a trigger. Hellclock is an action RPG roguelite, and you will feel some Diablo vibes right away. Dark towns, creepy dungeons, and that classic everything is cursed atmosphere are all here. But instead of feeling like a Diablo clone, the game has a strong handmade and passionate feel behind it. It's fast, stylish, and focused on fun. This is not a game that wants you to grind forever. It just wants you to jump in, make a build, and feel powerful. What makes Hellclock even more interesting is its story. The game is set after a real historical tragedy in Brazil, which gives it a strong, revenge-driven theme. And when the story hits its emotional moments, it really hits hard.
É uma chance de reescrever a história pelas mãos do povo. Voltar até que a nossa versão.
Still taking up the challenge.
After 7 long years, the sequel to a beloved indie classic is finally here. Moonlighter 2 has arrived. The original Moonlighter was a huge indie hit with a very unique idea. It mixed roguelite dungeon crawling with running your own shop. Now that formula is back, bigger and crazier than before. The gameplay loop is simple. At night, you dive into strange worlds, fight aliens, robots, witches, and more, and grab as much loot as you can before your bag fills up. During the day, you open your shop, sell everything you collected, and use the profits to upgrade your gear, potions, shop decorations, and more. The biggest change in Moonlighter 2 is the new perspective. The game is now fully 3D with a large isometric world, giving everything a fresh feel while keeping the core idea that made the original so special.
And the mysterious Endless Vault. Who knows? And choose your favorite playstyle.
Shape of Dreams is one of the most exciting new roguelites this year. In this game, you play as a traveler, exploring a beautiful, dreamlike world with one clear goal: take down a powerful god known as the First Dreamer. Each run sends you through glowing areas packed with enemies, bosses, and a huge variety of spells called memories, which you can mix and match to create some wild combos. There are 8 characters to unlock, and each one plays differently. Some focus on tanking hits, others on healing, and others on long-range damage. What's especially nice is how well the game works both solo and in co-op. You can play alone or team up with up to 3 friends, and the difficulty scales smoothly, so it always feels fun and fair. Mortal Sin is a dark and brutal first-person action roguelite RPG, and it's easily one of the most intense games in the genre. It's violent, unforgiving, and honestly, really good. The game's visuals stand out immediately. It uses extreme colors, heavy contrast, and strong saturation to create a wild, eye-melting look that you will either love or hate. As you play, you unlock a huge variety of character builds. Almost every classic fantasy role has its own version here, and each one completely changes how you fight. I have to say though, Mortal Sin is not a forgiving game. It's designed to punish mistakes and push you toward failure. It wants to beat you down and throw a game over screen in your face. Right now is honestly a great time to be into roguelite shooters. So many good ones are coming out, and a question I keep seeing is, which is better, Abyssus or Deadzone Rogue? For me, the answer is simple. They're both fun, and they each do their own thing really well. Deadzone Rogue leans into a more serious tone. Instead of goofy humor, you get a dark sci-fi setting with strong horror vibes. Exploring the ship feels a bit like walking through a space horror movie. That said, the gameplay is very action-focused. Expect fast fights, large rooms packed with monsters, and gunplay that feels closer to killing floor. Nine Kings is a mix of roguelike, deck builder, and auto battler, where you defend your kingdom against waves of small but relentless armies. You play as a ruler in charge of a simple 3x3 grid of land. On that grid, you place units, buildings, and towers to protect your kingdom. Each turn, you draw cards, set up your defenses, and then watch the battle play out on its own. If you win, your kingdom grows stronger. If you lose, everything falls apart. The real fun comes from how creative the game lets you be. Each king starts with a unique deck. Some focus on gold, others on nature, magic, or raw power. And when you defeat another king, you can steal and mix their cards with your own, leading to some wild and satisfying combos. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor is finally getting its full release. A lot of Survivor-style games feel rushed or copy-pasted, but this one absolutely doesn't. It's clearly built from the ground up, and you can feel the quality almost immediately. If you are already familiar with Deep Rock Galactic, you will feel right at home. It keeps the same core ideas like replayable missions, procedurally generated caves, and that strong just one more run feeling. The Survivor-style gameplay takes that formula, changes the perspective, adds new ideas, and turns it into a fast and chaotic roguelite.
The Sun King, who dares stand in your path.
Absolum is a roguelite beat-em-up, and honestly, it's a perfect match. Beat-em-ups have always been about doing run after run and slowly getting better each time. They were fast, tough, and built around retrying again and again. That's exactly what Absolum gets right. It takes the classic beat-em-up formula, adds roguelite upgrades, and makes everything feel fresh and exciting. The game is made by the same team behind Streets of Rage 4, and it really shows. The combat feels smooth, stylish, and impactful. Every time you go down, you're brought back by the Root Mother, Uchawi, and thrown right back into the fight. That's the real magic of Absolum. It turns the loop of fighting, dying, and retrying into something that stays fun every single time.
You will discover new regions, enemies, quests, and challenging bosses who will give you a hard time while trying to put an early end to you.
Monster Train 2 is the sequel to the popular roguelike deck builder, and it takes everything that worked in the first game and pushes it even further. Even if you never played the original, it's very easy to jump in and have fun. The best part of Monster Train 2 is discovering powerful combos. In every run, you mix two different clans, and finding strong synergies is incredibly satisfying. One run might have you building an unstoppable tank, the next run could be all about swarming the field with small units that grow stronger every turn. With constant upgrades, artifacts, and buffs, every battle feels explosive and exciting. If Souls-like games usually scare you, but you still want to try the genre, Elden Ring NIGHTREIGN is a great place to start. Some people love experimenting with new builds, and NIGHTREIGN lets you do that every single run. Each time you drop into the world, things feel fresh, random, and exciting. It actually reminds me a lot of Remnant 2, a Souls-like game with procedural levels and tons of build freedom. You still get that classic Souls combat, tough enemies, great boss fights, and real challenge. But now it is mixed with full co-op and massive build variety. And honestly, that combo just works. Jump Space might be one of the smoothest sci-fi roguelites game, and the wild part? It's made by an indie team. This is a co-op PvE shooter where you and your friends run a spaceship together. You take on missions, gather resources, fix the ship, fight enemies, and basically survive one chaotic space disaster after another. Everyone has a role, and every role matters. One moment you're piloting the ship, then you're repairing broken systems, manning turrets, grabbing supplies, or even jumping out into zero gravity to fight enemies on your own. It's all about teamwork, fast decisions, and switching roles on the fly, and that's what makes it so much fun. Megabonk is a 3D survivors-like that's been getting a lot of attention lately, and honestly, it deserves it. It's fast, over the top, and packed with dumb humor that helps it stand out from the crowd. As a survivor-like, one of the biggest twists is that Megabonk is fully 3D. You can jump, climb, and even unlock double or triple jumps. Some upgrades actually boost your damage while you're in the air, so hopping around isn't just for style, it's part of how you play. And then there's the humor. Megabonk feels like it was made by the internet itself. You'll see old memes, weird references, and characters that feel ripped straight out of early 2010s internet culture. It's silly, sometimes cringe, but also weirdly charming if you're into that self-aware, brain rot kind of humor. Developed by Cygames, the team behind Grand Blue Fantasy, Umamusume finally launched worldwide after becoming a massive hit in Japan, and honestly, it's way more fun and addictive than it sounds. In this game, horses don't exist. Instead, the spirits of legendary racehorses are reborn as girls called Uma. They train, they race, and when they win, they put on idol concerts. Yeah, that's the twist. Race first, concert later. Gameplay-wise, it's a mix of roguelite, strategy, and visual novel. You don't just watch races, you train your Uma over multiple seasons. You manage stats like speed, stamina, power, and even her mood, while choosing training plans, races, and events. Ball X Pit takes a bunch of familiar ideas and blends them into something fresh, fun, and super easy to pick up. The gameplay is split into two main parts. First, you dive into fast-paced arcade runs. You fire bouncing balls to smash enemies, break obstacles, and clear the screen. As you play, you earn experience and resources that power up your shots, unlock new abilities, and let you pull off some wild combos. Then, after each run, you head back to the surface. Here's where the town building kicks in. You spend your resources to expand and upgrade your town, unlock new characters, and gain bonuses for your next dive. You can even rearrange buildings to boost production, and honestly, that part is way more fun and addictive than it sounds. Hades 2 is one of those sequels that actually earns its name. It's bigger, smarter, and somehow improves on everything that made the first game so good. This time, you play as Melinoa, Zagreus' sister, and she feels amazing to control. Her attacks are powered by magic, which adds a fresh layer to combat. Every weapon feels strong, and once you start stacking boons from the gods, the builds get absolutely wild. At its core, the game still has that classic Hades loop. You clear rooms, grab upgrades, and slowly turn into an unstoppable force on the way to each boss. Seriously, this game is so good that it earns the #1 spot on this list. That's all for today's list. Subscribe and like for more exciting new roguelike and roguelite games. That's it, and see you next time.